I told my son he shouldn't listen to losers. Now he won't talk to me. Today, I'm going to recap a 2011 action crime film called Tactical Force. Inside a bustling department store, individuals are attending to their various needs. Some are purchasing a soda, while others are casually exploring the aisles. Out of the blue, a squad of masked individuals barges in, armed heavily. Shortly afterwards, the entire store is held captive. The armed invaders commenced shutting down the store, incarcerating everyone inside, including a police officer. Amid this turmoil, a throng of police officers encapsulates the building, transforming the situation into a volatile hostage crisis. Concurrently, an urgent dispatch alert is activated, prompting the LAPD to summon their notorious SWAT team. SWAT Captain Frank Tate receives a phone call indicating a hostage situation. On hearing the news, he instantly instructs his team to ready themselves and proceeds towards the site. The members of the SWAT team consist of the captain, SWAT Sergeant Tony Hunt, SWAT officers Jannard and Blanco. The SWAT team, led by the LAPD, lands at the chaotic scene, already saturated with law enforcement. Captain Tate exits the truck and places his rifle on the hood of a patrol car. A cop informs the captain that they are managing the situation. Tate counters by suggesting that the regular cops take the remainder of the day off. He takes the microphone from the officer, insisting on communication with the hostages. He informs the culprits that his department's laws and protocols necessitate negotiations before deciding whether to proceed or not. Ignoring this protocol would result in the SWAT team overcoming and incarcerating them. The head criminal agrees to the procedure, but a slight delay in his response is deliberately used by Captain Tate as a pretext to resort to violence. This sudden shift leaves the chief offender in a state of confusion and distress, causing him to alert his associates to prepare for combat. The SWAT team advances, with officers Blanco and Jannard leading the way, following Captain Tate's order to divide into 3 groups. Blanco snatches a frozen steak from the counter, and along with Jannard, they take cover behind the counter to surprise one of the offenders. Concurrently, Sergeant Hunt detaches and confronts a criminal and a hostage. When the criminal demands, Hunt pretends to surrender. At the same time, Tate confronts the gang leader and his captive officer as they wander between aisles. Tate discards his weapon, bewildering the criminal, and then charges into both the criminal and hostage, knocking them into a pile of merchandise. Blanco launches the frozen steak at one of the criminals, disorienting him. Jannard unleashes a few bullets, neutralizing the criminal. Hunt gives up all his weapons except for his cherished BB gun, Martha, which he uses to disorient the criminal, then retrieves his rifle and eliminates him. Tate slams the gang leader's head into a refrigerator and overpowers him. With all the criminals neutralized and the hostages rescued without any casualties, the crisis is effectively resolved. The sequence transitions to the SWAT team relaxing in their locker room when Tate announces that they have been summoned by the chief of police. Anticipating recognition for their successful hostage rescue, they discuss feigning surprise and expressing their honor in serving the public. However, when they visit the chief's office the following day, they're met with the grim reality that their actions were not well received. The chief admonishes them for deviating from standard procedures, leading the national food chain, where the incident took place, to file a lawsuit against the LAPD for a hefty $250,000. He laments their impulsive actions, which led to numerous injured hostages, including a policeman whose testicle burst as a result of Tate's violent intervention. After a series of comically tense exchanges with the incensed chief, he informs them of their immediate suspension without pay, and mandates that they undergo retraining sessions with federal trainers. The SWAT team subsequently finds themselves in a class, presided over by a dull instructor who elucidates on a famous 1998 hostage case involving kindergartners that was peacefully resolved through negotiations. Yet each member of the SWAT team offers brutal solutions, emphasizing the distress of the child hostages, leaving the instructor perplexed. The team members joke about the possibility of a peaceful resolution, much to the chagrin of their instructor. In a separate incident, Russian mobsters, Demetrius and Ilya, hold a man named Kenny captive, interrogating him about a stolen package. As Kenny remains silent, they threaten him with physical harm. Kenny reveals that the Italians also know about the package's location and that he involved them to ensure he held some leverage. Meanwhile, the SWAT team heads towards the same warehouse for their retraining exercise, unaware of the LAPD booking. Simultaneously, Italians Lampone and Storato arrive at the location and confront the Russian mobsters. The two groups squabble over the package's location and Kenny's manipulation. The argument is abruptly interrupted by the approaching sirens of the SWAT team, forcing the criminals to set their disputes aside and prepare for a possible conflict, mistakenly assuming that Kenny had alerted the SWAT team. As the SWAT team arrives and quickly ascends to the upper level, the criminals remain on high alert, confounded by the situation. However, the cops are engaged in their training exercise, with their gunfire further alarming the criminals. Amidst the chaos, a scuffle breaks out between Storato and Ilya when Storato makes an unwelcome advance. The commotion catches Tate's attention, who orders Blanco to investigate and inform anyone present that the location is reserved until 2 p.m. Blanco's appearance downstairs triggers a panicked reaction from the criminals, who fatally shoot him. Blanco's dying reflexes cause him to discharge his firearm into the air, alerting his team to the danger. Tate determines that they need to descend and assess the situation. The criminals quickly deduce that Blanco's rifle was loaded with blank rounds, leaving the police essentially defenseless. Nevertheless, the death of Blanco has them cornered, prompting a decision to join forces to eliminate the police and escape unscathed. As Tate and his team face off against the criminals, they become aware that their adversaries know about their dummy ammunition. Responding to Tate's sudden directive, the cops withdraw upstairs, shutting a heavy vault door behind them. This leaves the criminals on the outside, and Demetrius promptly calls for reinforcements. The Italians bide their time as the Russian backup arrives, concocting a strategy to use a ladder to reach the upper floor from outside and ambush the police. Anticipating this flank, Tate and his team retreat to the door, exploit an opening to sprint to their truck, and fetch their real weapons. Jannard and Hunt stand guard at the door, while Tate rushes for their supplies, discovering in the process that their radio has been damaged. Jannard ascends to check the Russians' progress, while Hunt holds his post. Inside the truck, Tate stumbles upon a bound Kenny, whom he frees, assuming him to be a hostage. However, as the Russians advance, he dashes back to the vault door. The Russian reinforcements pin Jannard down, but Tate intervenes, eliminating the Russian assailant. Witnessing this, the Russians realize their backup has been defeated, and the Italians summon their reinforcements. Amidst this chaos, Kenny attempts to flee, but is intercepted by Tate in the restroom with a case. On inspecting the contents, Tate comprehends the severity of the situation. He inquires about Kenny's plan, who leads them to a subterranean tunnel exiting the warehouse. However, Tate pauses to check for followers. The Italian reinforcements notice this, and their leader dispatches 2 teams to corner Tate and his team in the tunnel from both ends, capturing them and escorting them out. Tate is apprehended by the Russians, who inquire about the case. He divulges its location, but negotiates the release of his team. Meanwhile, the Italians contemplate taking Hunt and Jannard hostage. Lampone, exasperated by Kenny, murders him and commands Hunt to lead Storato to the case, while he keeps Jannard hostage. He orders his reinforcements to eliminate all Russians. As the Italian backup arrives, Tate extends an offer of assistance to the Russians, sparking a pursuit as he speeds off in their truck. Inside the tunnel, Hunt dispatches Storato and sprints back to the tunnel's entrance. There, he covertly ambushes Lampone, liberating Jannard. Tate then crashes the scene with the truck, instigating another shootout. Hunt uncovers his personal grenade launcher concealed in the truck, using it to annihilate the Italian backup. He launches a grenade, causing a massive explosion that engulfs the entire van in fire. Following this intense firefight, Demetrius quietly approaches the police from the rear, taking them hostage and seizing the case. He orders the cops and Lampone to kneel and directs Ilya to execute them. Ilya seems agreeable and accepts the duty. Demetrius steps outside for a smoke, trusting Ilya to handle the situation. However, when he doesn't hear any gunshots, he returns to find Ilya incapacitated and the Italian backup leader still alive. The latter, along with Lampone, takes the police, Ilya, and Demetrius hostage. In an unexpected turn of events, Tate requests a final favor before his team's impending execution, the permission to don earplugs. Finding the request peculiar yet harmless, Lampone allows it. However, the moment Tate and his team insert their earplugs, Tate unleashes a concealed flash grenade, causing disarray among everyone present. The panicked Italian flees the scene while Lampone is promptly subdued by the other two officers. Tate gives chase with his rifle, but finds himself and his opponent bereft of ammunition, resulting in a physical brawl that Tate ultimately triumphs over. He returns to his team, and together they take the remaining individuals into custody. Next, they find themselves once again in the chief's office. However, the atmosphere this time is quite different. The chief lauds them for their bravery and resilience, recognizing Blanco's sacrifice and suggesting a celebratory parade in their honor. Despite the praise, he does mention one last issue, an allegation that the SWAT team had roughed up a federal agent during the altercation. At that moment, Kenny enters the room, revealing that he and Lampone were in fact undercover operatives, working on an operation to recover the briefcase from the clutches of the Russian and Italian mobsters. Left bewildered by the revelation, the SWAT team reluctantly accepts this unexpected twist and eventually finds themselves back in their regular duties. The contents of the mysterious briefcase remain undisclosed forever. If you enjoyed this video, don't be shy to hit the like button, and if you disliked it, hit the dislike button twice, just to be sure. It would be best if you watched the whole movie. Thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe for more videos like this.